and gentlemen, welcome back to the Think About It channel. Today we're doing another episode of Hustle, where we talk about entrepreneurs in the South Jersey and Philadelphia areas. Today we have the lovely Nancy Ryan. Hey, Nancy.
Hey guys, hey Adam, how you doing?
I'm good. Nancy is the owner and operator of The Crooked Spoon. It's an in-home bakery located in Camden County, New Jersey. She began the bakery this year, 2025, through New Jersey's Cottage Food Operator's permit, which I had no idea was a thing until I met Nancy. Yep. She also runs a YouTube channel, which is also called The Crooked Spoon NJ, where she shares recipes, baking advice, insights on how to get your food operator's permit, as well as other food-related things like getting your ServSafe exam. If you're a person, you know about that. That's not the most fun thing in the world to do, but it's an important thing to do.
Exactly.
So that's that. So Nancy, you're now doing the baking thing, which is amazing, but that's not how you started. How did you sort of start?
No, I started out in science and education. So my entire adult life, from my college age to my 40s, I was either a teacher or working in a museum, working with middle school or high school students, working with preschool students. I've always been in science education. And in my private life with my family, I was always baking and always cooking. So it was kind of an interesting switch, because at some point I said, hey, I'd like to go back to school. And so I applied and entered RCBC. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Rowan College at Burlington County. Yeah. They have a wonderful building up in Mount Holly that houses the culinary program and the art department. And it was just the perfect fit. So I said, you know what, as an adult, my children are older, I wanted to go back and learn more about baking and culinary.
Mm-hmm. So I'm an ACC graduate.
Wonderful.
So I had a couple of buddies that were in the culinary program there. So I know that these programs are no joke.
No, it's the real deal. They have different levels. I've chosen just to do the certificate, which takes about maybe 9 classes. But all of the students that I am there with, who are extremely welcoming, they're there for their associates, and a lot of them have their goal is to go on to that next 4-year college and finish up a proper degree. Yeah,
for sure. And that's awesome.
Yeah, it's been really amazing.
So has baking always been like a passion of yours, and as you sort of like life sort of calmed down, I guess, in your 40s, because you're only like 45, you just had the time to do it, and it's like, I want to pursue it now?
Absolutely. It's one of those things, right? We all have something that we've gotten those 10,000 hours in, you know. And my 10,000 hours was definitely in baking. And again, who doesn't love to eat a baked good? So of course I loved making and baking. Yes. So yeah, it really just always was in that in the back of my mind, that I really wanted to do something a little more formal with it. So the whole intention is that I would complete the certificate program and then launch some kind of baking business. And I realized in January, why am I waiting? I'll get my certificate next spring, but I thought, why am I waiting? Let's do it now while I'm still in school. So by January, I had launched The Crooked Spoon under the Cottage Food Operator permit. And here I am about 5 or 6 months later. Yeah. That's
so fun.
Yeah.
I had never heard of this permit until we sort of crossed paths. And I was like, this is such a cool thing. I'm sure people would want to learn about this. Because, I see people all the time, like, I had a friend on here, shout out to Frank Young, who does egg rolls.
What a cool skill.
You can check out that episode, which is
I will.
Fun. But people do food, and they do it out of their house, and it's like, let's get this permit, and we can sort of do it more formally. So can you tell us how you sort of found this permit and what it sort of is, and the ins and outs of it?
Yeah, absolutely. So every state in our country has some version of this cottage food license. And it's interesting because New Jersey was one of the last states to actually offer it. So there were a lot of people in New Jersey who were waiting on this, because all of the other states in our area and across the country had sort of already established their rules and regulations. So with that, because we were the last state to offer it, they happened to also be one of the strictest states. So there's a laundry list of steps that you have to take in order to apply and receive this permit. And it's ultimately just to protect the consumer, right? The folks that are going to be eating these baked goods. New Jersey wants to protect them. They want to make sure that everything is, safe and adequate. So it took me a couple of months. In order to have launched in January, I probably started the application process back in November. And things such as making sure that the water at my house was potable. So I had to prove that I was hooked up to the township water. Things like making sure that Cherry Hill would allow this. So I had to also get a permit and a zoning permit from Cherry Hill. There's a long list of restricted items. There's so many things that I am not able to bake because of food safety. Things like cheesecakes or things like that have pastry cream in them. So it's very interesting. And then on top of it, a lot of states don't do this, but I'm required, and anyone who has this permit is required to have passed that ServSafe food safety and sanitation exam, which I feel very lucky because I took that in my course load at RCBC, so it was easy. But for a person who's been out of school, it's a little intimidating because it's a full textbook studying, full Scantron exam like we used to take the SATs, long ago, and that's good for 5 years. So yes. It's really amazing that New Jersey started offering this, but it's also sort of a very intense process in order to get this permit. So that was one thing that made me think about launching the YouTube channel, because as you know, once you've gone through something, it's always nice to like reach back and help the people to get to where you are, So I felt it was very important to me that I sort of documented what I did in order to help other people in New Jersey also get their permit. Because there's a lot of steps. And unfortunately, it can take up to 12 weeks to get your permit. So, you can't just decide in the moment, like, oh, next month I want to start baking. No, they have to approve all of your recipes and then you can start baking. So it's really wonderful being on this side of it.
Yes.
But you can understand why there's so many home bakers that don't have this permit because of all of these guidelines.
Yeah, and I feel like in 2025, where we are sort of being a little bit overrun with some of the big businesses, this feels like a good avenue for people. I don't need to rent a building if I already have my own home, as long as I'm meeting regulations.
Absolutely.
This feels like a good solution if you can put the time and effort into getting it.
100%. It's even like one step then from the food trucks, right? We have this wonderful food trucks in the area, and this is even one step, I won't say easier, but one step more approachable, right? That, I could even do this in my home kitchen and have customers come to me, or I could deliver. So it really is this wonderful program. And I'm really so fortunate that I sort of stumbled upon it and have made it really work now.
Awesome. That's such a cool thing. That's such a cool thing.
Yeah.
What type of baked goods does the Crooked Spoon offer? So what are you allowed to bake, and what do you choose to bake? Yeah,
it's really interesting. So the first application I put out, I really only applied with about 20 recipes because I didn't know, you had to sort of try it out. So I, in addition to fruit pies, I like apple pie, blueberry pie, and cherry pie. I do a lot of sort of breakfast breads. So things like English muffins, banana bread, cinnamon buns, that's one of my more popular items. Even challah bread or rolls, different like dinner roll things. So I have a little smattering of everything. And as we speak, I'm about 8 weeks in waiting for my second application in order to expand my menu. So I'm hoping in another month I'll be able to I'll have up to almost 50 items available to people. Fingers crossed that my recipes are approved. So it's really kind of neat.
So when you get your recipes approved, do you have to send them to some sort of like health organization or like board?
Exactly. It is. It's through the state health department. Yeah. And there's somebody there who's going line by line through the recipes to make sure that all of the ingredients in the recipe are not on that restricted list. It's very, very time consuming.
I bet, and I bet it's frustrating in many ways, but I bet at the same time, like you said, it is to make sure we're doing this safely and stuff. Um,
Absolutely. And I do, and I'm proud to show that on
yeah.
my Instagram page that I have a proper license because it's an assurance, I think, that
Hmm.
maybe might highlight someone to order from me
Hmm.
and that I know, all of the steps for food
Hmm.
sanitation and safety. So, yeah.
Yeah, I got people in my life who won't eat stuff from other people's kitchen unless they're looking at it.
Isn't that funny? No, it's really funny. Everyone has a different feeling about that, right? Yeah.
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 Wash your hands. We'll be all right.
Yeah.
Just convenience.
Yeah.
So you said you have about 20 things right now on
Hmm.
on the menu.
Yeah.
Of those 20 things, what's your favorite to bake?
Oh, hands down, my pies.
Okay.
Yeah. They so I'm offering cherry pie, blueberry pie, and apple pie. Your standard fruit pies, that's on the approved list. Things like pumpkin pie or key lime pie, those are not on the approved list because of the ability that they need to stay refrigerated.
Mhm.
But pies, I just love making pies. I find that just while it's a long process, it's just you just get this beautiful, baked good at the end, and it's a very sort of meditative process and putting it together. And selfishly, because I'm such a small batch kitchen, I get to use all butter, and fresh fruit. So there's so many different ways that I can make a pie different than the kinds of pies we get at, a bakery or a supermarket, you
Mhm.
know?
And like
Yeah.
we said before, we came on. I'm gonna be popping up pictures of all the crazy stuff you're
Oh,
making.
thank you. Thank you.
And I will say your pies are picturesque.
Oh, thank
They
you.
they could be like on a Thanksgiving table
Yeah.
floor.
Thanks, Adam. That's very kind. And I hope they taste as well as good. So I encourage folks to give me a holler if they'd like to try one.
We'll put links in the description so you can try one and see if
Thank you.
it's up to the hype. But I am sure it's
Yeah.
up to the hype.
Yeah. Thanks, Adam.
Let's switch over to the YouTube content because
Oh, I
honestly,
know.
I think your YouTube content is just as interesting as your
Oh,
story to the baking because you're not just putting up like you baking, like you do that, but you're sharing recipes.
yep.
You're sharing like your ServSafe journey stuff. Like it's pretty well rounded. There's a lot of different stuff there for people that are into baking. So, can you tell us a little about your channel? Like what sort of things you typically post and how often you post and things like that?
Yeah, so you can totally relate to this, right? Because the key to YouTube is sort of finding that niche, right? That niche.
Hmm.
So it's sort of like I try to put a few things out there, and what I'm finding is while it's probably easier for me to do the filming of myself when I'm baking and then doing a voiceover, what I'm finding is more people on my channel want information about the permit and the ServSafe exam and the restricted items. Those are where I'm getting more of my views. I'm being helpful, I suppose, to folks in New Jersey who want to also get their cottage food.
Hmm.
So it's really interesting how your viewers kind of shape what the
Hmm.
content that you're
Yeah.
going to put out there, right?
Hmm.
So I find that that's been a really interesting journey, and that I find that now I need to spend more time doing behind the scenes research in order to make those videos of the content that the viewers really want. Yeah.
Which sort of leads me to my next question. Do you
Yeah.
find it hard balancing the food side of the business versus like social media is basically the new marketing?
Absolutely. Yeah. Again, I know you can totally relate to this, right? This is just one piece of our lives here. I
Mhm.
use Instagram and Facebook to connect with my customers. That's how customers are ordering things.
Hmm.
But YouTube is just an amazing opportunity, right? In order um, to reach more people. But as you know, organization is key, right? So if I'm baking on Thursday and Friday every week, which is my standard schedule, I'm YouTubing on maybe Tuesdays or Wednesdays and trying to do as much batch taping as I can, right? We were talking earlier about the least amount of editing,
Hmm.
you know. Um, and it's been really interesting. And I have got all teenagers at home, and I think they really think it's a hoot that mom in my 40s, launched a YouTube channel. But I encourage folks to do it because there's plenty of room for everyone in the
It's free.
YouTube
You might as well.
sandbox,
If you're
right?
doing
Yeah,
something cool,
absolutely,
doing something
absolutely.
fun and cool, it's free. You might as well do it.
I agree with you on that. Yep.
I got two more sort of fun ones
Oh, sure.
to sort of wrap us up. Um, this one's more of like as a baker.
Yeah.
So I think baking does intimidate some people because it's very much a science. Like you said, your background's in
Oh,
science.
it is. You're right. It's 100% chemistry. I totally agree
Yeah.
with you. Yeah.
But I think people sometimes will shy away from it because they are, especially if they're doing things from scratch.
Yes.
It feels pretty intimidating.
Yes.
So what is a baked good that people perceive to be pretty challenging to make, but in reality might not be?
Oh, yeah. That is a great question. Um, I'm going to say bread. I'm going to say yeast bread. So not maybe like a zucchini bread or a banana bread, but I think a lot of people don't realize how simple making a sandwich bread, like a sliced sandwich bread, could be. Now, with that being said, I have to give a shout out to all of the sourdough heroes out there because sourdough is such an art. And I admit that while I've dabbled in it, it's not my path. And I want to say that I admire so much the sourdough bread makers out there because that is a whole other level. But if you find a recipe that even some of the recipes that I offer are like this, you literally are just dumping all of your ingredients into a stand mixer, right? Like a mixer that's going to do all the work for you.
Mm-hmm.
And with that stand mixer, like a KitchenAid or something like that, it's doing the mixing, the kneading, and then what happens for bread? It just has to hang out and rise and proof for a little bit. So while it might take a while, it can be a very simple process. And actually, you know what? I'm just thinking you've got, I was a stay-at-home mom for a while, and with kids in your own home, if you think of making pizza dough or pretzel dough, right? That's a yeast bread dough. How fun for the kids to shape that into pretzels or garlic knots, or it can be a very hands-on thing.
I was just thinking that as you were saying that, like, get the kids involved.
100%. So yeah, so I would really encourage people to find that sort of dump and go yeast bread recipe and have fun with it. I really believe it is chemistry, but you really can't mess it up too much. You're always going to end up with something great to eat at the end. So yes, I would say bread would be that one to encourage people to give it a go.
And my last fun one, I think you sort of already answered it without actually answering it.
Yeah.
But I know in my own household,
Mm-hmm.
there is a debate about cake versus pie. Which is better? Which is the preference? So in your opinion, you've already sort of alluded to how much you love pie. Does pie take the cake for you?
No, and this is a terrible question because I don't want to have to answer that. Do I really have to choose? Oh my gosh. No, seriously though, anyone who knows me, and this is the joke for all people that know me, cake 100% is the answer. I will always want a slice of cake, especially if you know there's a bakery or a restaurant that's known for like a different type of cake. And honestly, because do you know that being a baker, the only cakes I actually bake are typically the birthday cakes in my family. And I have to admit, they're usually the Duncan Hines box mix cakes. So I will say that if I'm out and about, I will always want a slice of cake, always. But that being said, a homemade pie is my preferred. And again, it all goes back to that full butter. Mm-hmm. You just can't find that at a restaurant or a bakery. It's just not going to taste the same. But I cannot believe I'd have to actually ever choose between cake or pie.
Well, I feel better now because I'm the person in the house that's team cake. So now I have a ringing endorsement from a certified baker.
Yeah, I mean, it's just such a comfort food, right? It's celebration. It's so good, so good.
If people have made it this far and they've really enjoyed learning about you and what you do in our conversation, where can they learn more about you, follow you? If they want to order something, which you should, how can they do that? So what are your sort of links to your contact information?
Yeah, thanks for offering that. Yeah, so on Instagram and Facebook, I am at the Crooked Spoon, New Jersey. Instagram has probably the underscores between each word. And so if you're local to, my zip code is 08002. So if you're in that local sort of West Cherry Hill area, You can order things through my Instagram and Facebook, and I encourage your viewers to go look at some of the things that I've created both at school and for my customers through the Crooked Spoon. And yeah, and now on YouTube, if you're not in the area and you can't come pick up something on a Thursday or a Friday night, I encourage your viewers to check out my YouTube channel. And hopefully, it's really about education for me on the YouTube channel, you know? So you could maybe learn how to make that wonderful pie that I've been talking about. I have to admit, I share all my recipes. I'm a sharer. So if you're willing to try it, you can actually see my actual recipes that I use at the Crooked Spoon on my YouTube channel. So why not give it a try?
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
And I'll be sure to link everything in the description. People can just easily click it and go.
Thanks, Adam. That's so generous.
Of course. I've really appreciated your time today. I've really enjoyed our conversation. I hope if you're watching this, you go check out Nancy and the stuff she's doing on YouTube and give her a big order. Because she's great. And we got our West Lion shirt on.
Yes.
There we go.
Go West. West is best.
Yes, we got our West Lion shirt on.
Very cool.
So there we go. Nancy, thank you so much for your time today. It was a pleasure talking with you.
Same, Adam. Thank you very much.